Hello friends, welcome back to the Brothers in Dice channel, where we talk about miniature games and miniature painting. Chances are, if you paint miniatures, you have come across something called a wet palette. You are probably using a wet palette right now, or maybe not, who knows. Using a palette is almost a must when you paint using acrylic paints. Using the paint straight out of the bottle is usually not the way to go because they are too thick. You perhaps want to mix different shades of a certain color to create a progression of colors, and that is what a palette is used for. The regular oil painters, for example, also use palette. But the problem with acrylics is that they dry too fast. You put your colors on a palette and after a few minutes they are dry. So a wet palette solves this problem. But wet palettes have some issues that we will talk about a little bit later. And this product here that I just got promises to solve those problems, so we will see. But first I want to thank you all of our subscribers. Last time I've checked, we had 53 subscribers, which is great. Thank you guys for watching. You may have noticed that I have slowed down the rate of the videos coming out. This is because I wanted to get the Mythic Battles Pantheon reviews out as soon as possible to help people who do the Pledge Manager for 1.5. And now we will slow down, but there will be at least 2 videos every week, one on Wednesday, one on Saturday. So thanks again, and let's get back to the wet palette. So you can build a wet palette yourself, and that's what I did when I started using a wet palette more than 10 years ago. Just using some paper towels, some parchment paper, and a suitable container. You can watch a video by Mr. Adam on Tabletop Minions. He explains how to make a wet palette yourself for next to nothing. The other option is to buy something online. So later I started using this. It's Masterson's Stay Wet palette. It's okay. It is a good size, has a nice container. You get the sponge, you get the paper, which is not the best. It's a little bit too thick. This is how it looks my wet palette that I currently use. I might put a link to Amazon where you can buy it in the video description. But what are the problems with the wet palette? So the first one is that after a certain time, the colors that you have on the palette will degrade. The paints will degrade, and they are not really that useful anymore. So even though it is still liquid, you can work with them. I usually never use a color for more than 2 days in a row, perhaps. The second problem is that sometimes your wet palette develops a mold. See, you have a wet surface, and the fungi and that stuff likes that kind of environment, and it will start to grow on your paper. To remedy that, one thing that I used to do is to put a little bit of whiskey into my wet palette. It did help, so you can do that. But Oh, okay. The third problem with the wet palette is that when it is really damp and you take it with you somewhere, it may leak, which is a problem. You do not want to do that. So if you are taking your wet palette with you, what you would usually do is to dry it up and then prepare it fresh from for the next session. And all of these problems are supposed to be solved by these products. So this is called Everlasting Wet Palette. It was a Kickstarter last year. I backed this last year. The small one was, I think, $25. The big one was 40. When you got both of them, you paid $60 plus shipping, I think. And it comes with 100 papers. We'll see. We will do the unboxing right away. So this thing will cost you $10 of Amazon. This thing 25. Not sure if you can actually get it outside of the Kickstarter. Look up the Redgrass Studios. Okay, so let's go to unboxing. I'm excited for this. Okay, so this is the small one. It's called Everlasting Wet Palette Painter Set. The big one is called Studio XL Set. Let's first read what is on the box. Okay, so it's 5.9 inches times 7.9 inches, 15 by 20 centimeters, which is it comes from Paris, so thankfully they use metric system, as all good people do. Okay, safe paint. The paint won't dry. The paint won't dry out during your painting session. Stop and start at will. You can stop painting for a few minutes, hours, or days when using the tablet to cover your paint. Enjoy. Thanks to Everlasting stable hydration system, you will be able to perform advanced techniques. Easy to use. It works straight out of the box. Okay, and then there are instructions how you should use it. So, what do we have in the box? There is the palette itself. Then we have 50 paper sheets. Then we have another 50 paper sheets. And we got 2 sponges. This is the most important thing. So this is supposed to be antibacterial, which will prevent the buildup of the mold. And there is a strap. And this is a cool thing, which you are supposed to use as an add-on to your palette when you want to mix up more paint. Sort of what I use these peel blisters for currently. So let's have a look at the box. There's a nice orange color. Orange is my favorite color. And it is supposed to be watertight. Okay. Cool, so there is a little bit of texture on the bottom, and there is a gum around the lid, supposedly making this watertight. Let's actually test it. Let's see if it is watertight. So I have some water here. Oops. Did I close it incorrectly? Looks like. Certainly doesn't look like watertight. Did I put the lid the other way around? Well, you know what? I will not do a full test today. I will try this out. I will use it for about a month, and I will tell you my experience after that. So let's have a look at the sponges. It's slightly damp already, and it does have sort of a chemical smell, so I guess that is the antifungal chemical in it. There is a nice logo there of the Redgrass Studios, and it looks a little bit thin to me, but it might grow once you fill it with water. Let's actually try that. Hey, it soaks immediately. Wow, it is super absorbent apparently. Can you see that? Yeah. Wow. It soaks up water fantastically. I've pulled like 100 millimeters of water into this. There is some excess water. Let's get rid of that. Let's actually try to set up the palette. So let's open one of these paper sheets. There is water everywhere from my experiment, so you should be careful not to wet everything. Okay, so this is a parchment paper. It is very thin, which is good. And it fits nicely. This is what happens all the time with the parchment paper. It sort of gets wrinkly, and the borders will start to curl. You just need to get rid of these bubbles, and after it gets soaked well, it will be pretty much not really smooth completely. You will always have some wrinkles, but it's good enough for your paint. Yeah, looks good. Doesn't really bleed too much water on top of the paper, but I would have to use it for some time to actually give you a real review of this thing. But yeah, this is how you are supposed to use it. You put your paints here, you paint. When you are done, you put the lid on top, and this doesn't fit as well as I would like it to. Okay, so this was the painter size wet palette from Redgrass Studios. Let's have a quick look at the big one, which is the Studio XL set. I expect pretty much the same thing, just bigger in size. I was just checking if my sound recorder is on. Yeah, the same thing. Bigger palette, bigger box. Where's my trusty knife? Okay, so again, we have two sets of paper sheets. Assume this is the same material as the first one. Then we have, yep, there are two sponges. One, second one. There is the box itself. There is the strap. And then there is the, add-on for mixing extra colors. Looks like it is the same thing as the one which came with a smaller box. Oh, we can actually use them together. It looks like by putting them together, I pulled off a magnet of one of them. So, yeah, beware. Apparently the magnets are not glued in. Perhaps you want to do that yourself. So, oh well, was this worth 60 bucks? It was for me. I like to try out new stuff that keeps coming out. I'm excited mostly about this sponge, which is supposed to be, antifungal, anti-mold. The boxes are good size. What I usually do, even with the palette that I use currently, sometimes you do not really want to use a wet palette because you want to have a better control of your color consistency. Yeah, come on, can I open this? So I use the lid. Now it opens. Yeah, so this is really tight. I guess the smaller palette leaked because I didn't push it on top well enough. So there you go. This is the box. But what I wanted to say, that when I have a wet palette, I usually use both of these sides. So I have wet palette here and a dry palette on the other, on the top of the lid. I'll show you on my current palette that I use. Yeah, you see there are, so I scraped it off, I scraped off the color from time to time, and now it is clean. But I use this whenever I do not want the paints to be too watered down, when I want a better control over the color, the paint consistency. Just a small tip for you. Okay, anyway, I will get back to you about this product in about a month, and I will tell you how much I like it or how I do not like it, but I expect I will like it reasonably well. But remember, you can make the same thing yourself for next to nothing. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you like the video. There will be more coming, and I will see you next time. Bye!